just because you've got a great idea, the thing to learn from all that, just because you've got a great idea and you know how to implement it, doesn't equal success. What equals
So
success
true.
is how to connect with your customers. And this is
Yes.
something that we're going to talk about today. Was just because you've got a pioneering idea, you've got an invention, that's great. But if you can't connect that with your customers and solve their problems in a way that they want to consume it, then it becomes a major, then you won't be as successful as you hoped. And you also won't get investment.
Most startups think investors fund ideas. They don't. They fund evidence. And if you can't prove product market fit, your chances of raising capital are virtually non-existent. Today, I'm joined by Simon Horne, CEO of Angel Loop, someone who has seen thousands of startups pitch for investment. And later in this episode, Simon is going to outline the 8 deadly sins, which breaks down exactly what separates the startups that get funded from the ones that get ignored. If you're serious about raising capital, this episode might save you years of wasted effort. So don't forget to subscribe so that you can keep informed about how to achieve product market fit in your quest to successfully launch your new innovative idea. Let's go. Simon, welcome to that Product Market Fit Guy podcast.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
I think it'd be great for our viewers to understand a bit about your background and how that led you to running one of Australia's largest networks of angel investors.
Well, it's kind of a funny story because I kind of never intended. I sort of fell into this in a kind of a way, but I'm just a mechatronics engineer. I did my engineering degree and I did an MBA. I was on the course for being a CEO of a corporate organization, and I ran
Yeah.
into a friend who said, "Look, I'm doing this new venture management MBA," and I said, "What's that?" And I went over and there, it looked like a lot more fun, so I transferred over that. Next thing you know, I was one of the first to get a sponsored visa to Singapore as an entrepreneur back in
Really?
2000. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. They hadn't
Cool.
even worked out the rules. They were writing the rules as I was arriving on the plane. But I was there for 8 years and I had a lot of fun with a crazy idea in the area of video conferencing and the idea for work from anywhere. I had this idea for work from anywhere, and in 2008 I went stone cold broke. Had to come home. In 2010 I got a phone call out of the blue from a VC
Yeah.
firm in Silicon Valley, who asked me to come over and help them start a business that went on to become, a billion-dollar business, exited to Verizon.
Really?
Yeah, that was a company called BlueJeans. It was a precursor to Zoom.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you want to know where Zoom got all their ideas from, that they got it from BlueJeans, because we were the pioneers. They were just had a better business model, and that sort
Yeah.
of indicates, just because you've got a great idea, the thing to learn from all that, just because you've got a great idea and you know how to implement it, doesn't equal success. What equals
So
success
true.
is how to connect with your customers. And this is
Yes.
something that we're going to talk about today. Was just because you've got a pioneering idea, you've got an invention, that's great. But if you can't connect that with your customers and solve their problems in a way that they want to consume it, then it becomes a major, then you won't be as successful as you hoped. And you also won't get investment. So I came back in 2015. I came back to Australia. I was bumming around home, and then I fell into this wonderful old gentleman said to me, "You should become an angel investor." And I said, "What's that?" And then I fell into that, and I fell in love with it. And now I travel all around the place raising money. We've done 62 investments in the last 3.5 years.
Wow.
And
Wow.
into we're just about to write our $10 million check. Just about to cut that,
Okay.
which is great, and that's just in Queensland. We got a network across Queensland, and New South Wales, but it's changing the dial.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about Angel Loop, Simon. So to start with, I mean, what drove you to start Angel Loop? And then how did it evolve into multiple investor networks?
It's kind of all of us have to understand our personalities, and we design things to suit our personalities. And Angel Loop suits my personality. I used to laugh because I was brought up a very strict Catholic in the Irish Catholic scheme of the Christian brothers. With a
Yes.
strict, you shall be guilty if you're guilty about everything. Everything, you are born with guilt. And but also that I'm also descendant of the Holocaust survivor as well. So I've got this. Well, I love money. I love money. Money is good. Money is good. And so I have this constant battle inside me of I love money, but I feel guilty about it. So I have this balancing act. So in many respects, what Angel Loop is to me is that balancing of me into a, to overcome that guilt and
The
love. It's really, really
Yeah,
great, great, powerful. And
I
for all
love
of
it.
us, and I think we have to understand is that we're all motivated by some primeval force. We just
Yes.
have to understand what that is. And I think the art of that is to understand what your customers' primeval forces are as well. So
Yeah.
I'm driven by guilt and greed, and they play off against each other. That's what makes success of Angel Loop. Because Angel Loop is all about raising money for startups, helping them be successful in the same way, but giving back to the community and helping develop industry and so forth along the way. So it solves two important primeval things. And I think this is what we're leading to in this podcast. And I think
Yes.
that's how they work together.
Yeah, fantastic. And so what were you seeing that wasn't working in the startup ecosystem that saw the opportunity with Angel Loop?
Well, I really started at a discussion on the Sunshine Coast where we were sitting at a table of investors and a table of entrepreneurs, and the table of investors were saying, "You don't give us anything to invest in." And the other table says, "Well, you don't invest in anything we give you." So it was a
Yeah.
disconnect between the
Yeah.
expectations of the investor and the expectation of the founders, or the ecosystem.
Yeah.
So what the ecosystem were producing were businesses that were not aligned with what the angels were looking for. But the problem was, but angels were not they weren't communicating with each other. So basically,
Yeah.
the founders had no idea what angels were looking for. They go to pitch with investors, get a very jaded, terrible experience, and then and not know why. And so
Yes.
what we do with Angel Loop is we coach them, mentor them before they pitch to give them
Fantastic.
all the pieces of the puzzle that the investors are looking for. So the secret to our success has been the fact that we're actually educating the founders in a very, very blunt, and we do it very, very quickly way to say, look, this is what investors want to see and what they
Yes.
need to see to be able to make a decision to invest. And so
Awesome.
this is the kind of what the unique secret sauce of Angel Loop.
Yeah.
It's not the investment, it's a preparation, it's the coordination, it's basically helping the founder navigate early stage investment to be able to get the money that they need.
That's brilliant. I love that, Simon. So I want to get into, the key criteria of what investors are looking for, but can we start off from the product market fit perspective? And so from an investor's perspective, how important is product market fit when they're deciding whether to invest?
Well, you've got to have product market fit. It's you call it first thing you can have is market validation, isn't the right word to
Yes.
do it, which is product market fit in action. So
Yes.
it's the actual customer is actually threatening to give you money. They're
Yeah.
literally
I love
threatening to give you money. They wanna buy your product. Maybe your product's not quite ready, but they literally got the money in their hand going, "I want this and I want it," demanding
Yeah.
it off you. And that's a good indication of that product market fit. Once you've got that product market fit, that's fantastic because what you've done is you've validated it. But what we do as angels, we look at it a little bit further than that and realizes that sometimes your product market fit may not be enough to get your sales. So the problem with angel investors is you have a certain we call it the valley of death, right?
Yes.
You've got to get your
Very
revenue
familiar.
quickly. Yeah, you got to get your money quickly. You got to get your revenue quickly. Otherwise, you're going to run out of runway and you're going to die. So what
Yes.
we need to see is how do you convert once you've got product market fit, how quickly can you convert them into actual sales? So you
Yep.
get your product market fit, but if the customer sits there and goes, "Yeah, I love it, I'll buy it, but I can't do it until next Tuesday. I can't do it till next year. Oh, who else has got it?" And these are not the answers you want as a founder. What you want is, "Yes, here's my money." And so
Yeah.
we have little tricks to help customers make that decision.
Yeah. So, well, no doubt we're going to touch on a fair bit of that, but what's some of the biggest mistakes you actually see founders make when they're actually presenting the demand?
Well, first of all, they talk about the product. Every founder loves their product. They
Yep.
think their product is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and yes, it could be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But angel investors are investing in and businesses. Really, what we invest in, we invest in businesses. And so, what we're looking for is the package of the product, the idea, the market, all together as a business. So
Yes, as a
while
business
while
model.
while the idea is a great idea, it's just an idea. But what we're really
Yeah,
looking for is your execution plan, your product
yeah,
market fit, your path to market, how do you get customers to buy, and how are you gonna
yes,
do that quickly? And really, it's
yep.
about that speed to market is really critical to the success of the business.
So that's a really nice segue into my next question, Simon. What does evidence actually look like to an angel investor?
Revenue. That's a pretty simple
Revenue?
question. Revenue, yeah, sales. Show us some
Sale.
sales. Show us some traction. Show us where the customers are gonna willing to pay. Look, you can do a survey all day, and the problem is particularly in Australia, people will tell you what they think you want to hear. They'll say, "Hey, you've got a great product. I love it. Fantastic. Yes, I'll buy it. No problem at all." You turn up with the product and they go, and and so surveys are not no value. You can't validate with surveys. You have to validate with paying customers. And so the
Yeah,
best way to do that is to find those paying customers, and that becomes your the point of entry to raise with angels. Is you validate that
excellent.
market. You got product market fit, and you validate it with the market.
Yeah. So seems to me like in summary, investors don't fund ideas, they fund proof, and that product market fit, it helps to reduce that risk where the sales are actually coming through. As you said, people are knocking down your door to actually buy it because it's solving a real problem they're experiencing. And that's where the capital actually buys in. Is that pretty well summed up?
Yeah. So product market fit is a key part of it, but we need to see that the extra step where they've actually validated that product market fit.
Sales. Yes.
With
Yeah.
sales numbers.
Yeah. So
So we need. Well, you would say we need a validated product market fit would be the right way to
yes.
present it. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, excellent. So let's just pause it on that for a second. So, for the viewers, if you're watching this and thinking you can raise capital without proving product market fit, and as Simon said, with validated sales, then Simon's making it really clear. Investors are not betting on your idea, they are betting on validated demand. So, as a reminder, coming up soon is going to be Simon's 8 deadly sins. So, that's what we're talking about and what we want to unpack next. So, let's move on into how specific you need to be about who you're selling to and how. So, Simon, how important is it for founders to clearly define their target market, and how specific do you think that they need to be?
Very specific. You must have a plan. You must have a clear plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to go after this market segment first. The reasons are because and generally it's the lowest hanging fruit. We call it the lowest hanging fruit. The ones
Yes.
we can get the most traction, the quickest amount of time, quickest amount of market. So
Yeah.
in many respects, a solution that you come up with might have multiple markets, but your job is to choose the market that has the fastest to revenue. That's your really the
Nice.
key here. You don't
Yes.
have to pick an idea because it's a great idea and it solves this really important problem. That's great. But if the market is not ready to buy that product, then it's not worth it. So what you need to
Yeah.
do is find the market for where the people are ready to buy it.
Yeah, and that really supports our concept of going into niche markets where you've got customers who have got very similar jobs they're trying to get done, very similar problems and fears and risks and everything, and they're looking for a simple solution. And from there, you can build a beachhead, and really get those customers, paying customers on board quite rapidly.
And you've
So
got to explain to investors, more importantly, that these are the target market first. Then we're gonna go into this, and then we're going into that. So you'll tell us a story of how you're entering the market and scaling the target markets. Don't go to all of them at the same time and say, "Oh, they'll all buy my product." That's not what we
yeah,
wanna hear. What we
yeah,
wanna hear is you're gonna go after that market first. Once we've targeted that and we've got a certain size of that market, we're gonna, go into other markets, and
yeah.
this is our plan.
And that, would you agree that that really supports going into those niche markets with a minimum viable product? Yes, it does the job extremely well for those limited jobs. And then by learning from those markets, improving your product to be able to reach out to other market segments?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's exactly right. And
Yeah.
you might actually find that your original assumption of of your ideal market may actually change during that process. You might
Yeah,
find as you improve your product, you might find a whole new market opening up that you never saw before. But the more
absolutely.
important thing is you're out in the market making revenue, growing your business, and that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and yeah,
our common colleague, Linda Ginger, she often describes innovation as a scientific experiment. So you're learning constantly all the
absolutely.
way and proving and improving
Unfortunately
your product.
unfortunately, unlike when I was in Silicon Valley, we got the VCs checked they cut us a $5.5 million check for a pre-seed, which is ridiculous, if you believe that.
Wow.
We don't have that we don't have that, luxury. So,
Yeah,
when you come to angels, you've got plan A, and that is one you're gonna go to market with. So you've already before you come to angels, if you've got experiments that you need to run, make sure you run them before you come to angels and you're very certain about the direction, because 'cause we've only got
brilliant.
enough money for plan A.
Yeah,
There is not the funding there for plan B, plan C, and so forth. So you've got to be really, really clear before you come to this is that you've done the experiments into the markets, you've discounted different strategies. This is the one you're going to go through. You've validated it. That's the one that appears to be the most amount of traction. That's the one we're going with. And be very clear
fantastic.
that that is the pathway that you're going on, because
Yeah,
we just don't have the money to run it to fund experiments.
yeah,
When you're
yeah,
making money and you're making revenue, yeah, you can experiment as much as you want, but getting you to the point where you're a viable company, that's really important for us. So you only got whatever you choose is the one you're gonna follow through on.
yeah. So that's a really good segue into where angel investments sit. So can you explain for our viewers where angel investors sit in the capital ecosystem and why that's so important?
Well, so the difference is I was having a conversation with a VC that day. They call us a bunch of cowboys, but basically, a VC, of course, you has your little speck on your face, but it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
are these are people who run on instinct and guile and decisions, not on financial decisions. A
Yeah.
VC makes decisions on financials, so you got to have financials. You got to have a proven track record. You got to have revenue. This is what they say to you. Don't come and see us so you got 10,000 and revenue or whatever it is. Because
Yeah.
what they're looking for is actually financial indicators that you actually got a viable business. Whereas
Yep.
an angel will look at the business and go, hang on a minute, I see some opportunity here. It's like the guy comes in and he says, like, I think you got something there, but if you can line that up with that and that might actually work. And so
Yeah.
what we do is we come in on the going into the valley of death, which is the most dangerous part for an investor, because what we will do is give you money to get to the bottom of the valley of death. So the whole aim of angel investors is to give you money as you're going into the valley to get you to the bottom of the valley as quickly as possible so you can come out the other side. And that's when the VCs and stuff will be interested in investing in you because you've got strong revenue
Exactly.
growth.
Yeah. That's such great advice, Simon. So what do you think angels tolerate more so than what VCs will tolerate?
um,
A lot?
um, no, VCs, they say, look, early stage, there's a place for early stage VCs. Don't get me wrong. They're very important, but they're really focused on metrics, numbers, unit economics, these kind of things. An angel will come along and go, that kind of looks like something. The decision to invest is not a decision of this is going to be a successful business. It's more like the more likelies than the less likelies. So
Yeah.
we have this very gray area, like your pricing model might adapt, might have to change, or this might have to change, and you might have to make some adjustments along the way. Angels are very tolerant of changes of plan. The
Yeah.
problem
That's
is
a
when
good
and I
point.
had this conversation just yesterday with a VC who got upset about a founder having to change their plan a little bit because they bit off more than they could chew, and which is okay. We are happy with that. But then
Yep.
they gotta put it into bite-sized chunks, if you know what I mean, a plan. They said, "Well, you told us it was gonna be this." And I said, "Well, the reality of the world is that's not the way the world works. Is this is this is how you have to do it. Yes, it's all great for a founder to say, "Hey, I'm going to take over the world and we're going to take everything over," but you have to have an execution plan that actually can be executed. And given specifically if there's so many variables, like it could be funding, it could be market, it could be all this sort of stuff. Angels are willing actually to accept that risk before as part of their investment thesis. We call it the more likelies and the less likelies. So it's
Yeah.
really about focusing on giving the backing the founder on their plan and understanding that it's what did Mike Tyson say? All plans go out the window with the first punch in the face. Is it
Yeah.
the term? Right, and this is the
Yeah.
same thing,
Yeah.
you come to us and you say, "Hey, I got a plan, I'm gonna do this, blah, blah, blah." You take it out of the market and get punched in the face. We understand you're gonna get punched in the face, but it's really what we're backing is your resilience to get up and go, "Hey, I'll give me punch me in the face again," and
Yeah.
how resilient you are and how tenacity you have to see the way through what we believe is overall very, very positive and can happen, but doesn't necessarily happen the way your plan originally started, but you've got the tenacity to see it through.
Yeah, and that's quite normal in the very early stages of going from those first group of early customers into the early majority market to begin with. So that's
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
interesting. So I guess from a perspective of angels, can investors expect more than just money? Like, are you guys there to sort of help them and guide them and talk about what pivots and changes may be made?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it really depends on how much stake we got in the company. If we don't, if we're a very, very small stakeholder,
Yep,
and a big somebody else is around, we just become bystanders. But if we are leading the round and we have a certain size of equity in the company, that we generally like to have a board seat, put somebody on the board that's the founder can work with, and as an advisor, as a mentor, and to help them execute. Um, and the number of founders come to me and say, "Look, I'm sorry, I didn't make my numbers this month. It didn't happen. This didn't happen." I said, "That's okay. We understand that. It's all good.
yeah,
Just it's all good." You need someone there with a bit of expertise to say, you know, failure happens. Rocks get in the way, things happen. But at the end of the day, as long as you're in the game, you've got a chance of getting there. And the idea is
excellent.
it really about giving them confidence to know to back themselves and to know that they make the right decision. And this is
Yep,
sometimes hard for investors to understand. Even if you've been successful in business before and you've got successful and you think you know how the market works, guarantee that's not how the market works because it's all about timing and everything like that. So you just
yeah.
got to back the instincts of the founders as best you can and help them as much as you can.
Yeah, awesome. So, I guess in summary, could I just sum that up as angels are positioned as, a little bit risk tolerant, they're product market fit sensitive in the context that they're wanting to see those growth rates of real validated customers coming through, and they really act as a bridge between the idea and getting those first group of customers to then be the bridge to scale. Would you agree with that, Simon?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. So our mission is to get the business to a success as a product, which
Yep,
means that you've got customers buying it and you're not losing money. So our aim is to get you from giving you money to stop you losing money.
yep.
That's a definition of success for an angel investor.
Get to that break-even point, and
After
then
that point, that's where you can we get our return. But we've got to
yes,
get you to that point first.
we've got a good saying here, particularly in the very, very early stages of getting early adopters and just those first few real clients is, to focus on adoption as opposed to profitability. The
Exactly.
profitability will come
Traction, traction, traction.
traction, traction,
That's all
traction.
we're
I
looking
love it.
for, and all we're looking for is, when you say how you're gonna use our money, and it's all about generating sales. Because the value of
Yep,
your business, as I said, we want you at that bottom of that curve as fast as you can. The only way you're gonna do that is making money, selling
yep,
products, not developing
beautiful.
the product, not increasing the value of the product, selling the product. And that's the difference
Okay.
between a successful startup and a startup that will fail.
So let's summarize this a little bit with some real advice from you, Simon. So if you had to give founders three things to focus on before they raising capital, what would they be?
Validate your market. Validate your market. Run the experiments. Listen, there's lots of really great tools out there. Lean Canvas is one of them, or
Yep.
the was it Three Steps to the Epiphany? There's lots of great books out there
Yeah.
to tell you how to get your product or identify your product market fit. There's lots of stuff out there to do that. Once you've done that and you've validated the sales, that's when angels come in. So that's the point where you should come and talk to us. When you validate that product market fit, you discounted all the other experiments that you've run, and you've got to the point where you go, this is the go, this is the go path. You
Yep.
know, number one. Number two is understand that angels are not so interested in the product. We actually don't care about the product, and sometimes you got to be blunt with them. So we don't really care about your product. We just care
Yeah.
about your business and what you're doing. So what we're really focused on is not the product, but how to get that product to market. So you're going to be
Yes.
clear that this is a sales channel. This is how we're going to sell it. This is how we're going to distribute it. This is how we're going to, talk about the unit metrics, look at the profitability. Tell me how you're going to get to the bottom of the curve. So have that before you come and talk to us. And
Yep.
secondly, a lot of angels, which is understandable, angels are not just a financial decision. You have to understand that angels sometimes want to back great ideas that solve really important problems.
Mhm.
And so there's a risk tolerance for solving really important problems. And sometimes it's important in your discussion with investors, why do I need your money and why do I need it now? And what
Yep.
problem am I solving? As the first 2 minutes, like, you gotta come in and say, "Did you know that 80% of the world's population suffers from this really big problem?
Yep.
And there currently is no solution to it until now we've got that solution." And that
Nice.
sort of sets the framework to say, "Hey, this is a globally scalable problem that has that you're trying to take on," which goes the direction of saying, "Well, I don't think this business is gonna be a 5 times return. It could be 100 times return because of how the market size."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
always think big, and come with the problem you're solving straight up. But we're really looking at asking 3 things in summary. Tell me the problem you're solving, how are you gonna solve that problem technically, and how are you gonna get the product to market. Those are the
Yep.
3 things.
Awesome. That's fantastic advice for the viewers. So, Simon, I know the viewers are really keen to hear about these 8 deadly sins. I was wondering if you could just run through and share this with the viewers?
Well, let me just talk you to the background behind this. This is something that I has developed over the last couple of years, and I advise founders. This is kind of the way. So when I analyzed why did the company I started, BlueJeans, fail
Yeah.
and Zoom was successful, and it really was got to understand the psychological nature of your customer, not just
Uh-huh.
not just are you solving their problem, have you understood the psychological motivations? Like I said
Yep.
earlier on, I'm guilt and greed. I play them off against each other. That becomes angel loop. The same things happens with your product. What is your product psychologically to your customer? Like, for instance, the secret for Zoom and it really came very, very simple,
Yep.
was they're exactly the same product. I mean, you could take this BlueJeans and Zoom and put it right next to each other, and they're almost identical in terms of what they do. But the difference between the success was that Zoom understood the motivations of the customer.
Mhm.
So, for instance, we had a trial buy system where you trial it for 30 days and you buy it. A model that's been around for 50 years, 100 years, right? It's a
Yep.
traditional model. There's nothing unusual or different about it. What Zoom did was they introduced this concept of 40 minutes free. And so what that effectively did was you could get onto your video call anytime,
Yes.
didn't have to pay anything, and you can have a video call.
Yep.
Great. So what happened was that, and most people, if you're having a conversation, half an hour is fine. That's fine. But if you negotiate a business contract and you
Yeah.
come into a video call and you're having a chat and you say, "Oh, how are you?" And you get to about that 40-minute mark where you're negotiating the deal and you
Yep.
get the call, "Oh, sorry, I've got to hang up because I'm the free version of Zoom."
Yeah.
You look bad.
Yeah.
You look like an incompetent idiot. So,
So
so what happens is that what they did was they effectively guilted the customer to buy the product. And this is the
nice.
important thing was you have to, especially in freemium products, how do you convert from freemium to paid? There must be some sort of value proposition. And sometimes it's not logical.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
Yeah. Well,
just simply guilt.
From our
you know?
perspective, Simon, we look at this in the context of jobs to be done. So, the technical element, what problem you solve, the functional job. But then we're also looking at what is the emotional job that you're, providing for that client. So very similar context as what you're talking about, the psychology. When you dig into those, what are the emotional jobs that you're satisfying for the customer? They become very powerful from a sales conversion perspective. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, so the biggest problem is that I found in Australia is you come up with a new product and you bring it to market, and your customer says you should talk to customers and you say, "Does it solve your problem?" "Yes." "Is it the right price?" "Yes." "Will you buy it?" "Oh, but who else is using it?"
Yes.
Like, no, so sorry, you want it and it solves your problem and you're gonna do this, but who else is using it? So how do
Yes.
you cut through that? How do you get that first customer when he sits there and goes, "Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't who else is using it?" What it's really gonna be about is what does this product mean to that person?
Yes.
Decision-making
Yeah.
person, right? Because
Great point.
that's what's gonna get the speed to market. Because if you just think that you're gonna sell a product and people are gonna buy it, if you build, they will come. It doesn't work that way. You've
No.
gotta be able to find their emotional trigger that's gonna force them to put money in their put their hand in their
Brilliant.
pocket, you
Yep.
know? And
Yep. Love it.
that's the art that this is what I learned from when Zoom was successful, because it was the guilt. It wasn't
Yes.
the product, it wasn't the problem it was solving, it was the guilt of actually making them pay.
Yep.
People don't like paying unless they have to.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
so so
So
you or embarrassment. I almost call it all an embarrassment, to your customer, because you're gonna lose your customer because,
yeah,
"Oh, I want the free version of Zoom." "Well, you must be a cheapskate. Why would I ever buy anything from you?" And
yeah,
this is the key.
it demonstrates a real understanding of those emotional triggers. So Simon, all that's really wonderful, but let's run through the 8 deadly sins and basically your definition of each one.
Well, yeah, it's really, really interesting because there's actually 7 deadly sins, but I added the one called guilt because I'm Catholic. And anyone who's Catholic knows the number one way to control Catholics is guilt. So there's actually 8. There's actually 8. So if anyone shoots me down, there is actually 8. All right. But these are sort of things that will force your customer to buy. And we've found this with track record, with actual testing with customers. So the biggest one I think is fear. Fear of going to jail or compliance. Compliance software is all about generating fear,
Fear.
and
Yes.
and fear is the number one thing you've got to drive. You've
Yep.
got to drive that to the point that the customer has to use your software to be compliant with whatever law comes out of it. So compliance
Excellent.
software is very easy to raise money for because you're generating fear. That's
Awesome.
very, very easy to transact into something that does it.
So we got fear.
Suddenly, fear.
Number
Gluttony,
2.
excess. Oh my God. There are so many ways to skin that gluttony. Food products is really going away. Chocolates.
Yes.
Chocolates or avatars or, that's necessarily applied to angel investors so much. But when you go into the market, you're selling a consumer product, you're selling gluttony, whether it's luxury chocolates or you're talking about luxury food intakes or whatever it may be, or
Yep.
it may be a green, this is an environmentally friendly product or whatever like that. What you're
Brilliant.
really selling is gluttony.
Greed.
Greed. Everybody loves greed. Everybody loves greed. Everybody loves greed. And greed is the simplest, easiest way to do it, right? Number one, when you go to a customer, don't sell them how your product can save them money because they don't care.
Yeah.
They care about what it
How do
means to
I
their
make
bottom line.
make
How
more?
do you make money? So the
Yeah.
way you sell it is say, "Oh, instead of saying, 'This will make your job 20% more efficient,' no, you can do 20% more jobs. So
Yep.
therefore, your product line goes up 20%." So
Yep.
always when I say to founders, do not sell savings, sell greed, right? This is
Nice.
about profitability. How do you make your customer money? And very clearly, because what will happen if you try and sell savings, it'll get disappeared into that. Oh, that's a policy change. We have to change our processes. And oh, that's too hard. No, no, no. Well, if you sell as greed, you cut through straight away.
Gluttony, greed, and the
And
next one?
number one, and this is the number one thing when you're selling to local governments or governments in general, laziness, right? What's the why do I'm very facetious about this, but the reality is that the number one motivation for most public servants is to do as little amount as possible to earn as much as possible. This is just very hypothetical. So what you've got to do is trying to sell to local government is freaking impossible if you go through the gateway. If
Yep.
you go through the front door, you knock on the door and say, "Will you buy my product?" They'll go, "Great, fantastic. Let's look at review." And it gets lost in review. The IT department kills it, and then it doesn't go anywhere. But if you can trigger that sense of laziness, if you can make their job quicker, faster, more efficient, and they don't have to actually do anything, they will give you money like you wouldn't believe. Now, the
Yeah.
important thing about that is the local governments have budgets, right?
Yep.
So if you can make your job easier and quicker, they're likely to give you their entire budget for that activity
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
just a product. And you can make a very profitable business selling to government, understanding, and important to understand this, and this you can investigate this yourself,
Yeah.
but understanding the laziness of that they focus on the wrath. You want to be
Wrath.
wrath, vengeful. You want to be, I'm doing this because I hate this. You know,
Yep.
a number of startups that are particularly unsuccessful they are in real estate. They're trying to do real estate because they hate the real estate agent. So
Yeah.
the whole motivation is to try and get rid of that real estate. Some that doesn't actually work in practice because
Yeah.
back people see value in a real estate agent.
Yeah.
But the point is that sometimes it's about I'm doing this just because I don't want everyone to use that because, so the question is like, why do I fly Virgin, Airlines? Because I hate Qantas. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
why do I drink Coke? Because I hate Pepsi.
Yes.
These are decisions that, that we individuals make. And usually that our decision isn't because we like it, it's because we just don't like the other thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes the best
So
way to sell
offering an
something
alternative
offering
enables
them an alternative.
to something they
That's
hate.
that's the something they hate, and then they
Yeah.
will jump in it. If they hate it with the passion, that they will jump head first. So sell the wrath.
Right.
This is gonna solve your problem because that pain in the ass software is going away.
Yeah.
Yes, take it away. Um,
Righto. Next
Other
one.
one is envy. Envy, jealous. This
Jealousy.
is the way you do it. Jealousy. It's particularly good if you're, where we call this called world's best practice. I love this thing called world's best practice thing because all it is a jealousy machine, right?
Yeah.
Because what you do is if you sell your software as a world's worst best practice, then everybody has to adopt it because they create that jealousy or that need to be at the forefront of being, oh, we're the best in the world at this, and you create that jealousy between and friction in the market, and the market will change very quickly,
Yeah.
particularly in markets like universities. Selling to universities, everybody wants to be the world leaders in everything. But if you adopt this software and position it in a right way, then you'll get a lot of envy and you'll get a lot of jealousy and you'll drive, cool, right?
All right.
The other
Number
one,
7.
pride.
Pride.
Pride, inflate a sense of importance. I can tell
Yes.
you in biotech, it's all about pride. It's about, and particularly, then particularly that I joke about certain people in the medical industry. They're all driven by their ego, and a lot of those driven by their ego. And if you can position your product as solving or driving the ego up, like if you use this product, you're now the cool kid. You
Yeah.
know, look at me, I'm now the cool kid. Or you solve a problem that they feel inadequate about that drives their ego, then that's a great way to sell a product. So driving that pride, self-importance, you know,
Brilliant.
and
Number
the
1.
last one, the most
8.
premium, the primitive of them all, lust. Sex
Lust.
always sells. Sex always sells, and it has ever since the human race existed.
Yes.
Was sex sells, and sometimes we do this,
Yeah.
and sometimes you sell a product that's going to help that solves men's health, but it's a
Yeah.
woman who makes the decision. So you have
Yes.
to use the woman's connection with the man to sell the product. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of
I'm
sense.
thinking example of the Old Spice man on the guy on the horse. "Look
Yes.
at me, look away, look at me." That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
targeted to women to
Yeah.
convince them to buy it for their man. You
Yes.
know, this is sort of sometimes what you've got to do is you use that as a tactic. You're trying to sell the product to one, but you're actually using something else because they're the
To
ones who can
entice it.
influence the buy.
Yeah.
So they're the deadly sins.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Simon, I really love those. I think you should write a book on them actually, because from a sales perspective, not just for startups, but generally speaking, that's a great list
Well,
of,
the
of, of
reality
deadly sin.
reality is that the biggest encumbrance for a startup is not doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest threat to a business is you can knock on doors, you can knock all day, and if they're gonna sit there and go, "Well, who else is using it? I love it, but who else is using it?" You're never
Yeah.
gonna get a sale, and you're gonna go broke. So
So,
you're gonna use a bit of cunning and guile and understanding the motivation of that customer. What is this product to that customer? And sell that.
yeah.
And that is not necessarily the problem you're solving. More importantly, it's nothing to do with the problem you're solving. For instance, you might be solving a very important medical condition, but you're selling it on pride of the doctor. You know,
Yes.
understand that there's a
Who's
difference
the decision
between
maker?
exactly and what decision and why they're going to do it.
Yes.
And that decision is generally subjective. It's not product market fit. It's illogical. It's you've tapped into something that's going to force them to buy,
Yeah.
and that's what a startup has to figure out early on, or they're not going to survive for the valley of death.
Now, I really love that, Simon. And for our viewers, Simon is providing an outline of all the 8 deadly sins, for which we'll set up a link down in the description there so that you can download this and use this for, when you're ready to go to angel investment. Simon, this has been really incredibly valuable for our viewers. So, for anyone watching, if there's one thing to take away from today, product market fit is not optional. It is the foundation of the investability. So, Simon, what you've shared with our viewers today in how to be and understanding where angel investment sits and where they need to be before coming to you has been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
That's all right. You're welcome. You're very much welcome. It's always if you love to raise money and travel all over the countryside. That's what I do. I have I have like angel groups all the way from Mackay now down to Sydney. So yeah, so we've got a really big angel group community. Yeah.
And if people who can qualify that they are ready and have met that criteria and that, where can people connect with you and learn more about Angel Loop?
That's the fabulous screening process. It's called so basically what happens is that we have so many staffs. I only have certain hours in the day. So
Yes.
your best idea is to connect with your local angel group. Your best idea
Yes.
is find an angel. You'll find them in your community. Once you introduce yourself, let them talk to it, and then they refer it to me. It's all referral. All our stuff is referral from our community. It's a great way. It's not important, but you get the advice you need. And then when they're ready, when they think you're ready, they'll refer them to me and we'll then help you to the next phase. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So I certainly invite any viewers to make connection with us. Certainly, we've got a good understanding of what the criteria is for Simon and Angel Loop.
Absolutely.
We
Have a
can-
chat with you guys. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. We can help them
You got to convince
define
him to
what
convince.
those niche markets are and take them through all that early adopter process and validation. If you're an innovator, founder, or startup trying to navigate product market fit, make sure you subscribe to this channel because we can break down the real strategies that actually work in the market. And if you're serious about validating your product market fit, check out the links below to learn more about our Galileo Live workshop, which is the catalyst of identifying the niche submarkets where your product market fit has the highest probability of success. And of course, as Simon has said, it is then a few steps to then get your product in the hands of early adopters and into the paying customers in that early majority market. So the foundation of gaining adoption and working towards becoming investable. That's what today has been all about. Simon Horne, thank you so much for giving up your busy schedule to talk to our viewers. Thank you for
That's no
being
problem
here.
at all.
And until next time, keep on innovating and ciao for now.